Hello and welcome everyone to today's video. So in today's video, we're going to talk about variables. Now, to better understand what are variables, let me take you down to the code editor so we can have an idea on the solution variable tends to provide for us before we go into this video. So let's dive right in. So let's say I have a number. Let me just guess a number, and then I want to print this number. So if I want to print this number now, I would print it, and then this is the result. So if I want to print this number again, or if I want to look this number up again from the memory, I cannot do that. So the only thing that I can do is just to copy this number and then print and then paste the number again. So for the number of times I copy and paste is the number of times I can retrieve information from the memory as against this number. So there is no location in memory for now that this particular data is stored in that I can actually access that will make it easy for me to look it up from. And that's what variables tend to help us to solve. So variables are like memory placeholders or memory locations that we can store this data in so that it can be easily accessed by us when we want to work with them. So we're going to look at what are variables, variable initialization, the naming rules, and the reserved keywords in Python. So like I said earlier, a variable is a named location in memory that stores data and can be changed during program execution. Variables allow us to store data, manipulate it, and reference it throughout a program. So here's an example of a shelf where we have different items on the shelf. And there are tags to each shelf, to each data in this shelf. So the tags that are to each data are just like variables that are to each data in Python. So the tags have names that are used to represent these items. So also are the variables, names that we can use to locate this data in the memory. So in Python, if you want to create a variable, we have to do what is called initialization. So how to initialize a variable is that you assign a value to it using the equal sign, which is also called the assignment operator. So the data is to the right of the assignment operator, while the variable is to the left of the assignment operator. So for example, we have this value here. We have 293, which is an integer. And then this equal sign is the assignment operator. And then value, which is the variable. In the second case, we have this string, which is Jaja. And then the name, which is a variable, and then assignment operator. So please note, in Python, the equal sign doesn't mean equality. It means assignment. So in this case, it means that the value 293 has been assigned to the variable value. And also in this second case, it means that the string Jaja has been assigned to the variable name. So just like we are as human beings, if we don't have a name, then we can be identified. So if you want to be identified from the crowd, then someone has to call our name so that we can look up to who is calling us. Similarly, we have an object here, which is a boy. His name is John. So if we don't know that the boy's name is John, we can't identify John out of the crowd of students who are in his class. So in our previous slide, you've seen that variables are like group of text, right? Like the name and the value variables we have there, which are used to, which are assigned some data to. So, but there are rules on how you can actually properly name your variable. Just like somebody may not want to answer any kind of name, that's also how Python may not want to take any kind of data as its variable name in Python. So there are some rules that we have in Python that we can use to work on that. So obeying these rules will actually make you to be in the same line as Python on its variable naming. So the first is that there is no strict length or limit for characters used as variable names in Python. So I will have to read this all through to you. Then I will have to go to the code editor so that I can actually write codes that will help us to better understand this. The number 2 is that variable names cannot contain any other characters except a mixture of upper and lowercase alphabets, digits, and an underscore. So here you can see that I have given you all the uppercase alphabets, the lowercase, the digits, and then an underscore. So these are the kind of characters, a mixture of them, that we can use to form our variables. The third one is that variable names cannot start with numbers but with alphabets or underscores. Okay. We also have that variable names cannot contain spaces. So whenever you want to create a variable name that has spaces, then you have to use your underscores to separate the words. Variable names are case sensitive. So for example, we have here name and name, which are considered different variables. So in the first instance, you are seeing that the name has a lowercase n to start it, and in the other one, you see that n is an uppercase. So in Python, they are seen as different variables if we want to use them. And so we also have that variable names cannot be the same as Python's reserved keywords. So let's go to our code editor and walk around this in detail. So this first is that there is no strict length limit for characters. So I can have a variable name that starts with this is the boy that stole the goods from the farm. Let's say any random number. Sorry, there should be no space. Okay, so this is a group of characters. I don't know how long this is, but it's a valid variable in Python. I can also have that x is equal to 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. So in this case, the variable name is just a character. Here we have those groups of characters, and they both, if I want to print them, okay, let's say this. So my IntelliSense is on in my PyCharm. That's why I am able to write this out, or else I would have been in trouble. So the second one is print x. And if I run this program right now, you can see I'm having, this is for this one, and this is for this. So no matter the length of characters you have or you want to bring in, Python will be ready. But you just need to be very, very careful so that you don't mess things up. So it's advisable to keep things within limits. So the next is that variable names cannot contain any other characters except a mixture of upper and lower case. So for example, the first one you saw that I did, I have, let's say I have a thing here, QWERTY. Let me say QWERTY. Let me have this as Jaja. Okay, yeah. Jaja is equal to 2, 3, or 2, 4, whatever. Okay, so you can see here is just a group of characters, letter G, letter A, letter J, and letter A. So it's a mixture of the lower and upper cases. You can also, then if I also want to print this, I can also do that. So however you want to mix it, I can also put them all in lower cases. And that will also be fine. So I can also even add numbers to it right here. And that will also be fine. I can also put an underscore in between or whatever I want to do that. And that will also be fine. So a mixture of upper and lower cases, underscores and digits. So the other one is that variable names cannot start with numbers but with alphabets or underscores. So we already have this one here now. Let's just try to precede this J with number 1. Sorry, number 1 here. And then here also will be same name, right? And let's try to run this now. So you can see we have an error and it is pointing to where the error is coming from. It's pointing between the sides. So we have an error because we are trying to precede these letters with number 1, which Python will not allow. So if you had wanted to do this, probably you may want to precede it with an underscore, and that will be fine, right? Yeah, because you can start with either a letter or an underscore, but not a digit. Okay, so the fourth is that variable names cannot contain spaces, right? Variable names cannot contain spaces. So let's say we want to have a student name, which is let's just say the name is Rachel. Okay, so you can see if I try to copy this now and paste it here, right, and try to run this, I'm going to have an error. So because I'm having a space in my variable, so what I can do is just to remove the space and then put an underscore. So by an underscore, I can show that there's a divide between this word and this word, and then I'll be able to run that. To me, this is what is called a camel casing. So whereby you try to replace a space with an underscore. So that's one of the ways you can use to differentiate this. Another way you can use to differentiate this is by starting the names of the word, starting the letters of the word by an uppercase. So here you can say student name, and then I'll do student name. So in that case right now, I'm looking at whatever I'm seeing and uppercase. I'm seeing that to begin a new word, right? So here, and then to this word is called a camel casing. So you can use anyone to try to differentiate or try to try to show that there is a difference in the words that form your variable, and that will also be fine. Okay. The other one is that variable names are case sensitive. So by case sensitive, let me just bring down that Jaja I have before. And let's say Jaja is equal to Rachel. So Jaja is a variable right now. So let me say I'm printing Jaja. Okay, let's say by mistake now I now had to now replace this letter J with an uppercase. Okay, and let me try to print this now. So you can see name error, name Jaja is not defined, because in this case now my J is in uppercase, whereas the letter J, which is the variable name, all are in lower cases. So this is actually not the variable that is stored in the Python interpreter. That's why I'm having the error. So I have to either begin this with an uppercase, and that will be fine, or keep it as is and also replace this with a lowercase, and that's fine. Okay, the other one is that variable names cannot be the same as Python keywords. Now, what are keywords? Keywords are a group of letters or characters that are also like variables, but Python has them reserved to mean special things in the Python interpreter. So what are Python keywords? Python keywords are a group of characters. They look like variables, but they are not variables, in the sense that Python has reserved them to mean special things in the Python interpreter. So they are used for either some other logics and some other controls in Python. So Python has said, you don't use these keywords, don't use this word for variables, even though they look like variables. So these are the Python keywords. We have the and, the arc, the assert, the async, the await, the break. So you can see they have a mixture of upper and lower cases. And you can see they all obey the rules of a valid variable name. But these words have been preserved by Python to mean different things. So here, this is actually used for logics, this is used for importing, this is used for control loop structure, this is for class. So these keywords are reserved for special meanings in Python. As a beginner, you may want to note this down, but it is not advised that you should cram them now, because as time goes on, you will actually have them by heart. So let's go back to the interpreter and see what using this will actually result to. So we have, let's replace this with the first one, which is and. So you can see I have an IntelliSense already in my PyCharm, and when I write the and now, it's actually bolded in blue. So if I also want to print the valid variable and I run this, I'll have an error, invalid syntax, because I'm trying to assign a keyword to a value, which is wrong. So if I also use the word while, while I'm also going to have the same error. So even though this obeys the valid variable naming rule, yet Python has reserved this for its keywords. So you should try to avoid using them as variable names when you want to write your programs. So I'm going to put some assignments on the community section of this channel. So you can go there and look at the variable, the valid and the invalid ones, and try to detect which is a valid variable and which is invalid. With that being said, if you know you had some value in this particular tutorial, please do subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, share it, and comment on it. So, data manipulation is a very, very important process that we have to do, or that we do in Python. We've seen that we have the basic type of data, which are the integers, the floats, the strings, etc. Those are the unit data, right? And so when we want to process this data, we have to put them into something like a container or a basket that we can work on them at once or simultaneously, so that we don't do things redundantly. And so these containers or these baskets or these bins that we can use to store or categorize or group this data are what we refer to as data structures. So in today's tutorial, we're going to talk about data structures that exist in Python and how we can actually use them to solve our problems. So then, what are data structures? Data structures are ways of organizing and storing data to enable efficient access and modification of data. They are fundamental to programming as they provide a means to manage large amounts of data very efficiently. The importance is that it helps to organize data for better performance and clarity and enable efficient data manipulation, storage, and retrieval. Here I got an image from Vector Stock, thanks to them, showing a basket with some fruits and bottles inside. So in this case, this basket is similar to a structure where we have the different fundamental types of data like your integer, your floats, your boolean, your strings, all of them inside. And so because they are in this basket can be lifted and then everything is lifted all at once. And so that's also how a structure, when used, can manipulate the data, and all the data in the structure are manipulated all at once or simultaneously. Okay, now we have different basic type of structures in Python, which are the lists, the strings, the tuples, the sets, and the dictionaries. So we'll go into each of them in detail and explain how they work. So for strings, a string is an ordered collection of characters which are enclosed in quotes, single, double, or triple. Okay, so I will show you all this in the code editor and how they work. The strings that span a single line is represented by either a single or double quote, while a string that spans multiple lines is represented by a group of triple quotes, which can be either single or double. The basic use of string is for storing user input, the names of data, and for text processing. By my right, you can see that this hello world is wrapped inside quotes, and this is called a string. So the code actually helps to categorize this group of text, as a single unit. Also, we can also use a double quote. In this case, also, the hello world is also inside a double quote, which helps to categorize them as a single unit, and which is called a string. So in this other one, this third line, you can see that this string is spanning multiple lines. So you have a line, you have a string here, and also spilled down to the second line. So we have to use group of 3 quotes to represent this. So let's go to our code editor and explain this in detail. So let's say I have Jaja is a variable which is equal to. In our first video, we're talking about string as group of characters like H, A, B, C. So here we are seeing string also as group of characters which are also inside the same code. And in the first video, we said that if we want to know the type of a structure, or sorry, type of a data, we use a type function, right? So we can say print type of in this case Jaja, right? So if you run it right now, so you can see it is of class str, meaning that it's of what? String. And if you also want to print the data to see what it looks like, and if you run this program right now, so you can see that this is the text which is inside the code, which is a double quote. We can also replace this with single quotes. Oh, sorry. And that will also be fine. You can see. So this is the string. So let's try to form a group of text that spans multiple lines right now. So let's say I want to write any kind of string, and I want this is actually gonna take up to, I don't know how many lines. Okay. So here you can see that this string that spans multiple lines, I have to represent it using triple quotes, which can either be single or double. So the next are lists. Lists, just like you know lists. A list is an ordered collection of items which are enclosed, in this case, square brackets. So lists can contain items of different types of data, including integers, floats, strings, etc. And where each item in the list is called an element and is separated by a comma. So please note, the elements or the characters or the data in each structure is actually called an element. Lists are used for storing collections of data which allow for easy modification and access to individual elements. So by my right, you can see that I have a list of integers 1, 2, 1, 3, 4, 5. I also have a list of strings which are fruits, right? So which is apple, a banana, a cherry. There's also a list of mixed type of data, which is 1, apple, 3.14, and true. So this is actually an integer, this is a string, this is a float, and this is a Boolean type of data. So a list can actually store any kind of data in it, and that'll be fine. In the first instance, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements. Here we have 1, 2, 3 elements. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 elements in the string. Let's go to our code editor and see this in detail. So let me wipe this off. I will have to use this Jaja, so let me remove this other ones. And so let me write a list of so you can see I have an IntelliSense activated in my PyCharm. So whenever I try to write the opening bracket, it automatically gives me the closing bracket. You may have that also in your code editor enabled, and that's fine. So I will have to write any number. I don't want to just okay, I'll run this now. So you can see first I print the type of the structure, and then I print the structure itself. So it's of class list. So it is a list. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 elements in this list. You can also just add something else like non, which is a non-type of data, and that is it. It is used to store different collections of data in Python. So the next are tuples. So a tuple is an ordered collection of items that are enclosed in parentheses. Tuples can contain items of different types of data, including integers, float, string, etc. And each item in the tuple is separated by a comma. Tuples are used for storing collections of data that should not be modified after creation, providing a way to ensure data integrity. So for example, by my right, you are seeing this is a tuple of coordinates. You're also seeing a tuple of strings, just like we saw in the list. Here also we are seeing a tuple of mixed type of data, just like we saw in the list. Okay, so let's go to our code editor and see this in detail. So just trying to form a tuple is just by removing this square bracket and replace it with a parenthesis, right? And then let me run this and see what it brings. So class tuple 1, 4, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it has 5 elements in it, just like the tuple, just like the list. Sorry. Now the question is, what is the difference between a list and a tuple? Okay, put it this way. Lists and tuples are just like your text editors. So your list is like your Google document or your Microsoft Word, while a tuple is just like your PDF document. So your Microsoft Word, when you write characters to it, you can actually modify the letters or the characters you've written there. But when you have encrypted data as a PDF, you cannot modify that data anymore. So that is how a tuple is. So when we create a tuple, we cannot actually modify the data we store in it, but for lists, we can modify them. The next we have in our list of structures, are sets. So a set, just like we've done sets, a set is a collection of unique items that are enclosed in curly braces. So set can contain items of different types of data, including integers, floats, and strings. So where each item in the set must be unique. So duplicate items in a set are automatically removed. So just like we saw before, this is a set of integers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a set of strings, which are also fruits like before, apple, banana, and cherry, and a set of mixed type of data. So let's go to our code editor. Let me explain what a set is in detail. So let me try to replace this parenthesis with curly braces also. And when I run this, you're going to see it's of class set, having this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements in it. Okay, so let me try to repeat one of the letters here. Let me say 1. So I have a 1 here and I have another 1 in this structure. And let me try to run this and see. So you can see, even though in the primary set I have 2 1s, in the returned set I only have just 1 1 in it, because the elements in a set has to be unique. And that's why the duplicates are removed. So sets can be used to store data when you want data to be unique, you want unique values. So the next type of structure to talk about are dictionaries. Dictionaries, just as you've heard it, is what you know it is. A normal dictionary would have or will contain a word and then a definition, a word and then a definition. So that's also how a dictionary in Python is. So in Python, a word is similar to what is called a key, and then a definition is also similar to what is called a value. So in a dictionary, we have a collection of key value pairs which are enclosed in curly braces. So each key and a value form a pair, which is one element. So one element in the dictionary will contain a key and a value. Another element also contain a key and a value. Another element also contain a key and a value. And that's how it is. So each key value pair is separated by a colon, and the pairs are separated by commas, just like lists and sets and the tuples. The dictionaries are used for storing related data pairs, enabling quick retrieval of values based on their keys. So you can see here by the right, I have a dictionary of names of persons and their ages. So in this case, the Alice is the key, and then a colon, which is 30. We have Bob, which is 25. We have Charlie, which is 35. You can also have a dictionary of food and their prices. So a rice costs $70, beans cost 150 or thereabout. We can also have a dictionary of distance around certain objects. So a circle is related to a circumference, and a square is related to a perimeter. And that's how it is. So in the first dictionary, we have 3 elements for Alice, for Bob, and for Charlie. For the foods, we have 2 elements there, which is for the rice and the beans pairs. In the last one, we have 2 elements also, which is for circle and for square. So let's go to our code editor and explain this in detail. So let me wipe this off and then let me create a dictionary. So just like set, you can see the set and dictionary all use curly braces to represent them. But just like in a set, there shouldn't be any key value pair. But in a dictionary, there should be a key value pair in it. So let me say I have list of I could say, what's that? Let me just say Mercy. Mercy is aged 45, and then let me say Mike is, oh sorry, is aged 56. I should have put a curly brace in this, and then let me try to print this so you can see the class of this type of data is dict. Dict is dictionary for short in Python, and there are 2 elements in this dictionary. Okay, I think I need to introduce you to a particular type of function which is used to check or calculate the number of elements that are in a particular structure, and that is the len function. So for example, I'll come down here and let's say print len. Okay, len Jaja. So in this case, now this len is used to know the number of elements that are in Jaja, and then I'll print this right now. You can see it's 2. If I now also reduce this to a set by removing the colon and replacing it with commas, and print this right now. So as you can see, it's of class set, and these are individual data elements in the set, and this is of length 4, or there are 4 members in the set. So that is that about set, dictionary, tuples, list, and strings. So the problem is to choose the right type of structure when you want to store your data. So if you want to store text or group of data that has to do with letters and numbers grouped together, so you may choose to use strings, and that's the best one for you. If you want to store data that will need to be modified later, then list is your best choice. So tuples are used for storing data that does not need to be modified later. Your sets are used for storing unique items, while dictionaries are used for storing related pairs of data. Here are some questions I want you to help me solve. Help me write a Python code to create a set of vowels to enclose the text inside a set of vowels A, E, I, O, U. You also write a Python code creating a dictionary that maps the string red to 100, green to 200, blue to 300. And also write a Python code snippet of things that you want to purchase. And also, please, why might you choose to use a list instead of a set in a program? And also provide me with an example. So drop your answers in the comment section, and I will do well to attend to them. If you found value in this video, please do subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and also comment about it. Share it to your friends. With that being said, do have a nice day.